Welcome to Talk Tea Tuesdays. Talk Tea. Oh, I'm going to talk to him. Welcome to Talk Tea Tuesdays. Guys, what if I told you that the Lord is more invested in who we are when nobody's watching than he's interested in who we are when everybody's watching? What if I told you that the enemy is more invested in something way deeper than if we sin, when we sin, and how we sin? What is that? Our integrity. We want to title this sermon, What is the Devil Really After? It's very interesting that when we fall into sin, it's not the sin so much that breaks us down. It's the word that we committed to ourselves and the Lord of what we wouldn't do that breaks us down. It's very interesting that when we commit to do something, that the Lord allows the enemy to bring temptations, trials, and tribulations to our front door to see if we uphold those things. I know. Your question is, why would the Lord allow that? Because just like love, it's got to be tested. See, integrity is who you are when no one's looking. And there are going to be times and seasons that we have in our life that no one knows about. How do we respond? How do we react? What do we sacrifice or put on the line when God has asked us to wait? That is what embodies our integrity. It's very interesting that the enemy knows three things is going to happen when our integrity is compromised. One, you're going to see separation. Two, you'll see shame. And three, the enemy is more out to prove the Lord wrong. In the book of Genesis chapter 3, you see the separation when Eve eats of that tree, the fruit. She gives the fruit over to Adam and they both fall. See, it's interesting how the Lord had said, if you was to eat of this fruit, you shall surely die. But he didn't mean physically. He meant spiritually. You see the separation fall right after the punishment or as a part of the punishment. You see that they're removed from the location that they are in the Garden of Eden to another location. And not only that, verse 22 of chapter 3, you see that the Lord speaks about what he doesn't want to happen and how he's going to prevent it. And he creates flaming swords around the tree of good and evil because he understands once the integrity is compromised, it can always be compromised. And that is our daily test. What do we do when no one's looking? It's interesting when we look in the book of Job, chapter 1, we are told who Job is, a perfect and upright man who eschews the evil. And it's interesting that the enemy tempts Job 3 times. And although he passes flawlessly, we see one, his possessions are taken away. The Bible says that he charged not God foolishly. He said, naked I came, naked I will return. The second time, he's challenged. But God says something different than he said before. In the former chapter, he said, have you considered my servant Job, who fears the Lord, eschews evil, and is upright? But in the second chapter, verse 3, he says, have you considered my servant Job, who fears God, is upright, and eschews evil, and he holds steadfast his integrity? So it was deeper than sin, God? Oh, let me show you. If you go and look at verse 9 of chapter 2 in the book of Job, you will see that his wife, someone close to him, someone he loves, says to him, the Bible says, then said his wife unto him, do thou still retain thy integrity? Curse God and die. What? It's interesting how compromising your integrity has enough weight to bring death. Because isn't that what they did in the book of Genesis? When I tell you that the enemy is more invested in your integrity, he will pursue this till our dying day. Even Jesus in the book of Matthew chapter 4, integrity is put on the line. Will he turn bread to stone? Will he turn stone to bread? Excuse me. Will he jump off a cliff and expect the Lord to save him? Will he trade in who he is for everything that the enemy presented before his eyes that he would give him? Integrity. You see, the Bible says, what does it profit a man to lose his soul and gain the whole world? That's not because you can really sell your soul. That's a lie. But there are going to be times, trials, tribulations, where the enemy presents an easy way out. Will we, in those times, compromise who we are, what we stand for a moment of pleasure? Because, ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly what it is. You know why? The Bible says what we see is temporal, but the things that we do not see are eternal. Welcome to Talk Tea Tuesdays. We'll talk.